Okay, and so what did you think of the 14th season of Supernatural?
Are we swearing in this?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Just checking. It was pretty fucking awful and should not have existed.
Yeah.
Are we done with the review now?
No. Anne and I are both very much of the mind that the show should have ended in season 11. I know a lot of people say, and I agree, that the show was never as good again after season 5. And that's true. I think 5 is still the best season of the show.
Definitely the tightest.
Yeah. But there was a lot of good in the seasons after 5. I still really like 6.
Me too.
You know, I like season 8 even though it has problems, and I really like season 11, and I think that that's where the show should have ended. Like, it should have ended with Amara and God and all of that.
There was no reason for it not to end on that.
And it really, with a few tweakings, it could have made for a perfectly satisfactory ending. I mean, obviously you have to give more definitive endings to Sam, Dean, and Cass, but besides that, like, because obviously 11 as it stands doesn't really give a definitive ending to the three of them.
Right.
But you could have fixed that. They could have fixed that. They could have tweaked that. It would have been all good.
For sure.
Because there were a lot of good writers, a lot of good episodes, a lot of great work after season 5. Like, Ben Edlund wrote for the show for 3 more seasons after season 5. And, Andrew Dabb was in there, and Robbie Thompson.
Robbie Thompson.
Yeah, and other great writers, or other good writers, at least. Maybe not as good as the 3 of them. And Andrew...
But decent.
Yeah, and Andrew Dabb as a writer is a good writer. He is occasionally a great writer.
Yep.
He's written or co-written some bad episodes, for pre-season 12, like 4 through 11. He wrote some bad episodes, but pretty much he wrote a bunch of great episodes. Like, I think Dark Side of the Moon.
Yeah.
He co-wrote
that was a good episode.
Yeah. The second to last or the third to last episode of season 9 where Dean kills Tessa.
Yeah.
And like that tension between Cass and his group, and that was all so well directed and acted and written.
He can write emotions really well when he's on.
Yeah, like Andrew Dabb, it's not like he is just a total terrible storyteller.
Not at all.
But he is a terrible showrunner. Terrible. Like, every major choice that's been made since season 12, I think has fallen apart. Just has not worked. Just potential was there to be good. Like, I actually think the British Men of Letters was a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
But it collapsed under its own weight. It was never as dynamic as it should have been. Ketch is a complete waste of a character. Like, terrible. Horrible. Like, I just don't get Ketch. It's like he's whatever the episode needs him to be. He's good when the episode needs to be. He's bad when the episode needs to be.
He's like a shell of a character.
And
really.
There's no meaningful transition from good to bad to good. It's vague, and you can kind of imply it sometimes, but that's not all the time. And it's really like directionless, which is in season 14. But, and I said this to Anne, this is Anne, if I had a thesis statement for season 14, it's that this is a bunch of talented people either wasting their time or not giving a shit.
Right.
And that's, I mean, there are a few untalented people involved in the production. I mean, Buck Lemming, I mean, like, I don't think I've ever met a single person who likes Eugene Ross Lemming and Brad Buckner. Like, nobody likes them as writers. I don't think I've met a single person who has ever, you know, tried to defend them. And I've, you know, been in the Supernatural fandom long enough to see people, you know, defend, like, pretty much all writing decisions and to, or be able to justify it in some way, make sense of it in some way, but it's like nobody likes them, and for good reason. So
they have done a lot of things that have really, I mean,
we were kind of talking today, and I guess we can start by talking about Nick if you'd like.
Okay,
Nick,
yeah. Let's talk about Nick.
Yeah, and actually the reason why the Nick storyline is even there is because it was Buck Lemming's thing.
Yeah.
Like, that was their big contribution to this season, like the one thing that they wanted to see. And to kind of get back to, before I let you talk about Nick, because you were the one who had a lot to say about it before, talented people wasting their time. Like Mark Pellegrino, is that how you say his last name?
I think that's how you...
Yeah, he's a good actor, and occasionally
like him quite a bit.
A great actor.
Yeah.
Like, he's been in so much work, and, you know, he gets so much work for a good reason. Like, he is a very good character actor.
Yep.
He was amazing in season 5. He was great as, like, the hallucination Lucifer in season 7. And even in, when did they, is it 10? No, was it 11? 11 that they brought Lucifer from the cage? I think it was 11.
Yeah, I think it was, because 10 they were doing, what was 10's thrust?
The Mark of Cain.
Yep, yeah, so because remember, they were all focused on, so I think it was 11.
Yeah, right, and he was even great in the introduction. I thought his scenes with Chuck were funny.
Yeah.
Or no, that was when Castiel was Lucifer.
Right.
But
that was very good too.
But anyway, like
Misha Collins, very
like
talented.
Lucifer and Nick, whatever, like, maybe weren't always the best handled. I think it was bullshit that that they used, like, Castiel in that way and basically had him be nothing but a puppet for season 11, and him agreeing to have Lucifer possess him was just stupid. And how two angels can occupy the same vessel is like mind breaking, you know, world breaking, bad, makes no sense, you know, in terms of continuity. But seeing all that, he was at least handled in a reasonable way, Lucifer and Nick.
Right.
But season 14 was a disaster. I feel like Trump. It was a disaster. Yeah, it was. It was a disaster because Anne, you were saying how you don't know the purpose of Nick's storyline.
Yeah, so I was saying, as we were reflecting on season 14, and how, I mean, we would have changed so much if it was in our power, or just not had a season 14, really. But Nick's entire storyline could have just been lifted out of the season, and there would have been no consequence to anything.
No. I mean, with a few tweaking, but yeah.
Of course, yes. But by and large, his beeline was not necessary.
No.
And it was also extremely confusing because the whole dichotomy of him, like, trying to search out who is this killer, but I'm probably really the killer. But then also Lucifer is somewhere, like, loosely in the mix, and maybe
demons murdered his family.
Yeah, maybe demons did this. It was all very strange and confusing. And I still don't understand what me as the audience member, me as the Supernatural fan, is supposed to garner from this. What was this for? What was the purpose of this? Besides bringing back an exceptional actor to come in and play this very confusing role. I still don't understand why this happened.
Yeah, and because I think you said, like, his wife was like, oh, it was always going to be you who was going to be Lucifer's vessel. It's like, what?
Yeah.
What? Nick has been a crazy killer
This whole
time and not just like
a normal dude.
A normal guy. Because that was actually something that I think that Critcal tried to make a point of in that episode, is that literally anybody can be corrupted by Lucifer.
Right.
Like, Lucifer used the random violence of his family to convince Nick to have Lucifer possess him.
Right.
And that's like something that could basically happen to anyone. Like, if Anne, I love you, if Anne was, horribly killed, like, let's say a mugger killed you or something, and then, like, the devil comes to me, tells me, hey, you can be one of my vessels, and, Lucifer says to me, well, if God cares, he wouldn't have killed your sister. Or, that could have been, like, their wife, your boyfriend,
right.
Your mom, your dad, your cousin, like, whoever you are really close to, whoever you consider, like, the most important person in your life or one of the most important persons in your life. Like, that can be used to corrupt you.
For sure. And also
so to, like, just totally change that.
Right.
About Nick.
Right.
And we're not sure what we were supposed to get out of any of that.
Right. And the other thing I said is the whole Sam through line with when Sam wanted to possess, when Lucifer wanted to possess Sam, Sam was not secretly some, like, mass murderer before Lucifer wanted to possess him.
I mean, he just, like, pumped up his anger.
Right.
He didn't turn
him into a murderer.
No, like, who's killing people.
Yeah. So I don't understand. It doesn't make sense. I mean, again, I know some people are going to say, well, continuity is not a word that exists in this fandom anyway, which is entirely the truth. However, if they're making the entire B storyline rest on this idea, it really should have been crafted better.
Yeah.
Because it was, from episode to episode, it was like, okay, this doesn't really seem like it's the only progression of this. It seemed like Nick was getting madder and madder and, like, killing more people to find who killed his family. But it was very ill-crafted and very confusing as to, like, so, okay, we think that he probably did all this, but why did he do this? And was Lucifer influencing him the whole time, or was he just crazy? It was very...
Yeah, and you also said, you're like, okay, if after the possession Lucifer, which Nick even being alive after Lucifer being dead is, again, some bullshittery and so dumb. But anyway... if after being possessed by Lucifer, it's like now Nick is evil.
Yeah.
Like, that would make more sense.
Totally. I would totally be on board with that.
Versus, like, Nick had been evil all along. Like, even before, like, demons or Lucifer entered his life, he was, like, secretly a killer.
Yeah.
Which, again, like... breaks the idea, totally disregards the better idea of Lucifer being an idea that can corrupt anybody.
Right.
And
which is what he always was to the show.
All right, so we talked about talented people wasting their time with Mark Pellegrino, or however you say his
Yeah.
last name. Let's talk about talented people not giving a shit and talk about Jared Padalecki.
Oh, Jared, we love you.
Oh my god. Like, I don't even know if Jared knows what he's doing with his face anymore. Like,
That's a good lead-in.
like, he just... like, he just contorts his face in the weirdest ways. He like does like weird things with his eyebrows and like weird things with his mouth.
Yeah.
And it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah. The first time it happened, I forget which episode it's in. I told Ellen we should have a board of like normal reactions and his weird like facial reactions. But it was definitely in one of the first episodes of the season where I actually stopped it and rewound it back because I thought, wait, maybe I missed something, because his reaction to whatever happened was so bizarre. Like, I was talking to Ellen, and you know how, like, Jared has his, like, Sam reactions, you know, his, like when he, you know, he'll either have, like a, oh, what was that? Or, like, you know, he has his different faces. You know what I mean. You've seen the show. So in season 14, he has amped up these normal Sam reactions and put them on like hyper speed, where something will happen in a scene, and it's usually when he's acting off someone else, not Jensen. Most of the time when he's acting with Jensen, I feel like it's just him being him. It's just the two of them doing their thing like they
natural.
do. It's very natural. But when he's acting off someone else, a lot of times, either like mostly whatever Jack's human name is, and Misha, or just another actor, then he'll like make the weird faces. But yeah, this is not to throw any sort of shade at all.
Yeah.
On Jared.
Yeah.
0% shade thrown.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, Jared clearly does not give a shit anymore. Like, he's phoning it in, like I said. He is there to hang out with his friends and to collect a paycheck. And that's why he's there. And again, I can't blame him for that.
At all.
And I also cannot blame him for not giving a shit, because the writing is terrible.
Not good. It's not good.
It's not good. And I think I said to him, like, I cannot think from this season like a single like quotable line that's like really like snappy and funny and cool. And the Scooby Natural episode had the best lines of season 13 too.
Yeah.
And it's like, and those were written by an outsider. It's like none of these people can write a one-liner anymore.
Right.
I mean, I suppose Rowena has said some, but I really can't think of any. So it's, you know, I can't blame Jared. And he loves the fans.
Loves the
still,
fans.
I think.
Yes.
And but I think like
he's doing great things, great work, charity wise.
Yeah, like he maybe even thinks of the show as being like a vehicle for his charity, which
good on you, dude.
Isn't a bad thing
either.
Not
at all. No.
And I mean, to be honest, like I've never thought of Jared, like I've always thought that Jensen was the better actor out of the two of them. Definitely the more natural, definitely the more charismatic, definitely like Jensen is one of those people who is, I don't know if this is just like something inherent or something you have to work at, but Jared has like instant chemistry with just about anyone he's in a scene with. Yeah, Jensen has instant chemistry with, you know, anybody he's been in a scene with pretty much. So I've always thought Jensen was the better performer, but I've never thought Jared was a bad actor. And there are a fair few moments where I actually would call him a great actor. You know, I always think of the end and when he was Lucifer. I think that's like a great standout moment for Jared as a creative, you know, as an artist. But
And here we are heading into a season 1,000. And I can't imagine another person playing Sam. You know, he's so integral into the ethos of the show. And and like I said, I can't blame him. I was talking to Ellen because there's been a lot of hype. And when I say a lot of hype, I mean it's been on like Instagram. And I am who I am. So I follow Charisma and J. August Richards and James Marsters and everybody who was on the Angel series.
Oh, you're talking about Angel.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm transitioning. And so they're having right now their 20th anniversary hoopla. And they were all at Comic-Con together, New York Comic-Con, except for David, who's shooting SEAL Team. And I was talking to Ellen today. Something I was thinking about the other day was, could you imagine Charisma Carpenter getting a script for season 14 and having the first part of your career on this show been so epic, so moving, so incredible, something that you can really be proud of.
Yeah.
And then to have the show wither into what it is now, a shell of its former self. I can't even imagine Charisma Carpenter, Amy Acker, J. August Richards picking up one of these scripts and being like, are you kidding me? This is what's happening?
You know, this is what I have to act.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I mean, like, yeah, I mean, that's totally it. And that's why, you know, I don't blame Jared at all. I put, you know, no blame on Jared for his questionable acting choices this season, because it's so easy for me to empathize.
Yeah, absolutely.
With him
I feel bad for them.
Yeah, and to understand his situation.
Yeah.
So, okay, I think
Did we already talk about the rinse, shampoo, and repeat? Or the shampoo, rinse, repeat?
You mean beat, repeat?
Yeah.
I think that's what I was going to get into next, kind of.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so yeah, talking about, like, the storylines, and for me, it's so frustrating to watch, and this has been a thing, you know, for me all the way even back in season 8, to basically watch them recycle storylines. But now it's just to the point of absurdity. It's beat, repeat. Like, this season, you know, Dean has this horrible power inside of him that can...
whatever will we do?
It's totally recycling the Mark of Cain storyline 100%. And it's pretty much exactly the same. And all the reactions that Sam had to that and everybody else is the same. as they did when the Mark of Cain crap was happening.
And oh no, someone's lost a soul, except instead of Sam this time, it's Jack.
Yeah, and Jack, he's sick and he's dying, but you know, the thing, you know, that's making him lose. Yeah, he's not going to tell anyone. Yeah. No, he's not going to tell anyone.
To himself. Yeah, he suffers in silence.
Yes, he suffers in silence, and he can't tell his dads. You know, he can't put the burden of himself on anybody else. And it's like, oh my God. This is exactly the same. Like, this hasn't happened to Jack, but like this is Sam and Dean and Cass. All of them have done this same crap, you know, over and over a billion fucking times. So it's hard to feel anything when, you know,
the emotion is totally out of it.
When I've seen this play out like 500 times, it's
and
tired.
Also,
it's tired.
They mentioned multiple times this season how Jack is all of their child. Like, they are supposed to be the paternal force for Jack. And yet Jack is literally repeating all of their mistakes. So if that's what their prodigy is, that's pretty shitty.
I didn't think of that, but that's 100% true.
Yeah.
But
so it's like, way to have a son and just make him literally a carbon copy of all of the horrible decisions you have all made is now being played out right in front of you again.
Yeah. So it's like they can't. It's almost like they truly haven't changed from their mistakes, because then they can't teach that to Jack, or at least attempt to try to teach that to Jack.
Right.
So then there's no arc, there's no development for Sam, Dean, and Cass either. Like there's like, did you guys learn nothing? And I mean, I suppose it's good that Sam and Dean have stopped lying to one another.
Yeah, I did say, because we were talking about character progression, because that is one of the most important things to us when consuming fiction, is character progression. How are the characters going to change? How did whatever happened to them affect them and change who they are, etc., etc. Literally the biggest character progression for both Sam and Dean, the biggest one, is if the episode, I forget the name of it, but there was the episode where no one could lie, and the lies they were like throwing back and forth were the like Celine Dion and Elvis lies, which were adorable, by the way, so good job on that show. But if we would have rewound this to season 7, the lies would have been, literally the whole episode would have been Sam and Dean lying to one another.
Yeah, so I mean, that is an improvement.
Trying not to lie to one another, whatever.
But then that is an improvement, but it's like, how much of an improvement is that really?
Right.
Because again, it's like, it's just different characters making the same mistakes.
So now the like Sam or Dean characters who would have been lying to one another, now Sam and Dean are aligned with one another, and Cass or Jack are the ones who are the outliers doing, like, causing the issues in the show.
Right. And, it's, they mean, well, the Rotel is paved with good intentions.
Same old. We've been there.
So, and I mean, the show has been tired like this for years.
Yeah, a long time.
So it just like, it bears down on you even more in season 14, like, just how the same shit is, how nothing is new, nothing is surprising, nothing's exciting.
Yeah.
There's nothing exciting about this season at all.
I personally am definitely, out of the two of us, the more emotional person. I will admit I've cried during Hallmark commercials before. It's a true statement of fact. And one of the things I very much enjoy from my fiction is letting myself get wrapped up in the emotions that are playing out on screen. Literally every other season of Supernatural, I have felt things from the actors, from the writers writing. I have been able to connect in some sort of emotional way. This season, the only time I cried was not because Mary died. We'll talk about Mary in a little bit.
Oh, God.
P.S. We hate her.
Yeah, we do.
Hate her big time.
We really hate her.
So big.
Really hate her.
So big. Anyway, so it was not because a character died who we were supposed to be, who the show told us to be attached to. I didn't cry because of that. I cried because Dean sat on a curb and cried. I cried for Dean, not because I actually gave a crap about the person who died. So the emotions and the emotional connection of the show is totally been severed.
Yeah, and to go into a bit more about the emotional connection, the AU Hunters, why?
Don't care.
Why?
They died? Was I supposed to care about that?
Yeah, and I don't get it. Like, what was the deal with Maggie?
Yeah.
Like, they put her forefront for some reason. Like, she was important, but it's like, why? Why was she, like, notable in
What
any
did she
way?
do?
What did she bring to
Yeah.
the group? Like, why was she a leader of these people? Like, how? I don't understand.
Yeah, what did she do to prove herself as a leader? Was she good with logistics? Did she have a mean right hook? Was she really good with weapons? Like what did she contribute? What was her purpose? The only thing we know is Sam said her name 20 times over the season.
Yeah.
So if Sam saying her name is supposed to connect me emotionally with her, it's not going to.
Yeah.
That's useless. That means nothing to me.
Yeah, they didn't commit either way to making, like, the AU hunters just, like, cannon fodder and whatever and in the background.
Right.
Or to making them people we cared about.
Exactly.
Like, so, Robert Burns. The cat's fine.
Okay.
Okay, so, Robert Burns. I swear, in this man's office, he has, like, a wheel, and written on this wheel is, like, different, like, bits of dialogue, different scenes, different characters, different character beats from Joss Whedon shows. And whenever he writes an episode for whatever, he just spins this wheel. Now, Joss Whedon is one of the most influential TV writers of the past 25 years. Maybe the most...
Debate us. Like...
maybe the most influential writer of genre television of the last 25 years.
Yeah.
Like, that's debatable. Any TV show you watch right now, the writers in that room watched Buffy.
Absolutely.
They watched Buffy. They might have even watched it when they were in high school, when they were in college. They watched Buffy.
Absolutely.
They are fans of Buffy. So they're going to put that into that TV show, especially if they write for a genre show. Like, it's in, I watch the CW. I watch, like, 3 of the CW DC shows. Like, all those people watched Buffy, and you can tell watching that show. So, Joss Whedon's influence is something that you can't get away from.
Right. His handprint is on everything.
Yeah. Like, and genre TV, for, like, young adults is the house that Joss Whedon built.
Definitely.
Like, it totally is. Completely. In terms of, like, mixing genre, mixing, like, humor and action and romance and tragedy and all that stuff, and, like, pithy dialogue, witty dialogue that snaps and pops, that kind of, like, SoCal use of language is in TV now, genre TV, because of Joss Whedon.
Yeah, he was the one that really brought the dramedy to life.
Yeah. For us, for nerds, for geeks, for people who like, genre television. That all being said, there's a difference between, like, what Robbie Thompson did as a writer on Supernatural, who also watched Buffy, growing up, obviously. Yeah. And what Robert Burns does, where Robert Burns is like Cassandra Clare. He just lifts shit wholesale right out of Buffy. Like,
It's true.
Totally. Like, the last episode of season 14 that he watched, and Dean was like, maybe they went to grab a bite. You know how Mom is after a hunt, which is entirely like when Dawn said, Buffy is such a pig after she kills things. So, and then when the angel bitch with the dark hair, what's her name? Duma. Yeah, she's like, Mary Winchester is complete, which is the same language that Buffy used after she died, and she was in heaven. So again, like, you know, so much of what he does is just copy and paste from Joss Whedon.
Now, I have said I'm not sure if this is just him being who he is and bringing this into this genre show, because Joss's handprint is all over everything, and Robert is clearly extremely influenced by Joss Whedon. And Ellen said that she did not think that that was the case because of how blatant a lot of the references and points are that Robert Burns does in his writing. And it is consistent. It is every episode, constant lifts and copy and pastes from Buffy.
Yeah, and Angel. The first
happy 20th anniversary.
The first episode, I think, of season 4. Yeah, season 4 after Angel, you know, was in the ocean,
in the water.
Because
that was a direct copy and paste.
Yeah, and you know, Angel has this vision of his family.
Yep. For those of you who don't know, just real quick, in case you live under a rock, Angel is a vampire, so he can be in the ocean and still
not
be alive.
Die. Yeah. So Angel in the ocean has this vision of his family with Connor and Cordelia and all of his friends having dinner and hanging out. And, of course, then, you know, he then wakes up from his dream and remembers he's stuck at the bottom of the ocean. Yep. But it's like this rude awakening. And the same thing happens to Sam. Like, in season 13, before they rescued Mary, Sam, like, was having this vision dream of all of them, like, happy and chilling, hanging out in the bunker. And then Sam wakes up, he's like, oh, no, you know, that was a dream that I had. It was just, like, this happy vision. It's like, my God, you know, this man does not have a single fucking idea in his head that did not come from Joss Whedon. It's like, he's not a real writer. Robert Burns, he's not a real writer. It's like he's a vessel of a writer. And what I find truly amazing is that there are, like, so many people on Tumblr, you know, where I don't really engage in meta anymore with any of these people, but I still read from time to time, who seem to think, like, he's a good writer. How do you think this copycat man is a good writer? I just don't understand.
That's probably because they've never watched Buffy or have not drawn the conclusions between the two.
No. No. Yeah. And, like, that's another thing, I guess, about season 14 is, like, there are so few writers in the room anymore who I can point to and say are good writers. Yep. Like, they are the level of talent just isn't there anymore. And sadly, Steve Yoki, who was the best writer, is leaving, which is, you know, good for him, because honestly, he's too good for Supernatural and bad for us because the best writer is leaving. Yeah. So, yeah, like, the level of talent is just not there in the writing room anymore, which is another reason why I think the quality of the show has so deteriorated. Like, Meredith Glynn, I think that's her name. Like, she's a good writer, and I've usually enjoyed her episodes, but again, she's another person who's probably too good for the show, probably should leave, get a better job somewhere.
But also, to be fair, I think a lot of it is down to Andrew Dabb's clear lack of vision. Like, I understand bringing back God for the last season, and I guess having him be the villain, okay, whatever, that's dumb, but whatever. I'm not even going to get into that right now. But what even was the point of season 14? What did season 14 do for us except to literally take the tropes we have seen time and time again, put them in a bag, mix them up, and bring them out and put them all on the page and then have them acted out?
Right.
Season 14 did nothing to move things along. We could have had the end of season 13 an episode, and then we could have had God come back and start this season just the same.
Basically. Well, and of course, taking from Buffy to, like, Cass and his whole true moment of happiness bullshit.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Why?
Oh my god.
Why? Why did that happen? Why? Why is this a thing?
You know, steal from Buffy some more, please.
Oh, let's also talk about the I Will Remember You episode, the 300th.
The 300th, yes, talk about that.
Which, by the way, was, I mean, I don't even have to say this because it's so obvious. That was the only good episode of this season.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and Mint Condition.
Oh, Mint Condition was good. I did like that. Yeah. But what was the 300th episode called? What was the name of it?
Not
well, whatever. Who cares? So, as Ellen said, all it took was for Jeffrey Dean Morgan to come back again, and suddenly the old
Jared
Sam was
could
back.
act.
Jared Padalecki, effing amazing. Fantastic
in that episode. Yeah.
Perfect. Everybody was great. I actually, for like 5 seconds, liked Mary. I didn't think that was possible anymore, so that was cool. But yeah, that was a phenomenal episode. Wonderful. That was like the eye of the storm. That was the best part of the season for sure.
Yeah.
But it was also taken from the Angel episode, I Will Remember You.
Yeah. When and I didn't even think about this when I watched it. But it's obvious.
Totally. There's no way.
When John has to go back and he's all sad and he's hugging Mary. And they even show the clock. Just like, with Buffy and Angel and I'll never forget. Yeah.
Yeah. It is a direct parallel.
It's a lift.
Yeah.
It's a blatant lift.
It is. Except for Buffy and Angel making out, it's the whole family, of course. So yeah, that was another copy and paste from Buffy. But best episode, so good job on that. Thank you, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, for coming back again. We needed that. You made us remember why we watched this show.
Yeah. And Mint Condition, which was
awesome.
Genuinely good.
That was good.
It actually was good, and probably because Jensen was the center of it.
Yeah.
And he actually was like clearly having fun making the episode, and whoever
he
wrote
really
it, like
it
seemed
himself.
like everyone enjoyed themselves making that episode, which was probably why it was so good.
Right.
But okay, I think it's time to talk about Mary.
I don't want to. Okay, let's do it.
All right. So in season 12,
well, let's talk about Critcal Mary.
Okay.
Let's start out.
All right. So Critcal Mary. I'm gonna call them Critcal Mary and Dab Mary because they are two different characters. Like,
absolutely.
Let's be real here.
They're two different women.
Yeah. All right. So Critcal Mary was like a better than average hunter.
Yeah.
She
knew what she was doing.
Yeah. She had the skill. She had the capability, the intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
Like she had this legacy of hunters. So clearly she had been taught a lot. She had obviously seen a lot. She knew what she was doing.
Exactly.
So like a worthy mom to Sam and Dean.
Right.
Because, they're the characters we care more about. So,
right.
So she kind of had to live up to them.
Yep.
Which she did.
Totally.
But she wanted to be mom.
She wanted a normal life.
She wanted to be mom. She wanted to be a wife.
Mm-hmm.
She wanted to be a homemaker.
Yep. That is the life she chose for herself.
Which thousands, millions of women want. That's what they want from their lives.
Yes.
So, understandable, acceptable. And of course, like, there's, the tragedy with hunters, as there always has been, that hunters can never have normal lives.
Right.
And, like, she was a part of that through line of tragedy with hunters.
Yep.
Okay. So, Dab Mary. Dab Mary is a bitch. She is an awful mother.
She is also very selfish.
Yeah.
Overall.
She is maybe the most selfish character in the entire show.
Yes.
She's extremely selfish.
Yes.
And we're supposed to like this person. We're supposed to like her.
We were supposed to care when she died.
Yeah. You see, I didn't really hate Mary for season 12. I know a lot of people did with the British Men of Letters stuff, but
I disliked her.
But I wasn't ready to hate her yet.
But I was, for season 12, I was confused as to why she was brought back in the first place just to make me dislike her.
Yeah, and
that's
also,
how I felt for season 12.
Also to retcon her completely.
Right.
Because she didn't want to be a mother. She didn't want to be a housewife.
Right. She wanted to go off and play with the British Men of Letters.
And hunt and kill things.
Right. And act like her sons were there, and she...
Basically obligations and burdens to her. It could be frustration at Dab for them for him never directing them to make Mary a likable character in the first place who was worthy of grief.
Right.
Of us being sad that she's dead. And because it just didn't work. It wasn't there, which I suppose another thing that we talked about is a huge problem with Dab, with season 14, is telling versus showing.
Yes.
We're told that it's sad.
Right.
That Mary is dead.
Right.
We're told, and this is a thing I talked to you about before, we're told that Claire was in love with Kaya.
Right.
Even though that wasn't in the acting or the writing at all.
Or the directing.
And some people, I know, shipped them and, thought right away that, they were a couple. It's like, okay, well, I know that this isn't, my heteronormative glasses or any of that bullshit, because in the 300th episode, there were those two girls, who we knew by their acting and by the directing that they romantically wanted one another.
Right.
That they were into one another romantically. We knew that from the acting, from the directing. It was not there with Claire and Kaya.
I mean, I thought they were going to be friends.
Yeah. Yeah, and I can understand Claire having felt guilty for Kaya's
death. Oh, for sure. I agree.
But that's not the same. Jody's being she was her first love or whatever. And I was like, what?
Also, it was random that they knew each other for 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And that was a great tragedy.
And they were deeply in love. They were the level of Sam and Jessica tragedy. It's no.
And I get
no,
that.
They weren't.
I get when you're younger, you can be very passionate and everything, but they knew each other for 5 minutes. So the level there was very off.
Yeah.
It didn't, again, it was Jared's facial expressions. They were over the top from what actually happened on screen.
Yeah. And, I suppose another telling versus showing, we already talked about the AU hunters.
Yeah.
But we're told that Maggie was some sort of leader among them, or that she was close to Sam, and that her and Sam were tight.
And yet, how many scenes did we have of the two of them even talking to one another?
Yeah, we never even get I don't think they ever talked about not hunting.
Right.
We didn't have any really bonding between
they didn't
the two
sit down and eat a pizza, bond over beers. I mean, maybe they did, but again, the show told us that they were friends or something, but we never actually saw that.
Yeah, which kind of like breaks the structure of the season for Sam to be like, you know, after Maggie and them died, I just left, which left like Cass and Jack together, which then like led to more stuff. And it's like,
which was only a vehicle for what needed to happen.
Exactly. So and it's like, I can't buy Sam's grief over these people if I never saw them, you know, being close.
Right.
So
because narrative arcs are supposed to be about build up and payoff. Build up and payoff. That's how it's supposed to go. So this, we got like verbal tidbits of build up. Like, oh yeah, Maggie, she's hot shit over here. I'm buds with her. Like, we got him saying her name a bunch of times, and then she dies, and apparently Sam was real sad about it, but we don't understand why, because we've never seen that. We've not connected with that.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. What else do we want to say? Oh yeah, Michael. Let's say a bit about that. Okay.
Well, let's first of all say, I'm going to be you know, a typical fangirl here and say, Jensen Ackles, you look fucking hot in that suit and that little hat, okay?
Yeah,
let's go there. You were very attractive.
I mean, he is very attractive.
Well, yes, but I liked him in his cute little suit.
His cute little hat.
Yeah.
Don't you love the little hat?
Yeah.
But anyway,
so yeah, that's my squee moment for it, because he looked very good as Michael.
Somebody told me, and I forget where I read this, that like Dab, like nobody gave Jensen like any direction playing Michael.
Can't believe that.
And it's so, I mean, I can believe it having watched the episodes.
But it's unbelievable. Like,
because it's like, I'm sorry, actors in a way are living props, you know, like in a way. I mean, not really, but in a way where it's like an actor needs something to base a performance on.
Yep.
Actors, it is not their job to generate something out of nothing. That's why there are like so many Oscar-winning actors who also have Razzies or who just turned in total shit performances, even though like they're vaunted and considered like important actors who are like great at their craft, but they were in a shitty movie and had a shitty performance because the writing was bad, the directing didn't know what to do with them. Like, there is a relationship of trust that needs to exist between an actor and a director.
And I think absolutely.
And if that relationship isn't there, the actor is like a kite without a string.
Right. Yeah. And I think no one can deny that if, you know, Jensen's portrayal of Dean and even Jared's portrayal of Sam is what they made it. They crafted those characters. But that's not without Eric Kripke, Kim Manners, many other writers and directors working with them to create and hone and construct these characters into what they are today. So Andrew Dabb telling Jensen, hey, you're gonna be Michael.
Do whatever you want.
Roll with it. Whatever you do, it's gonna be great. So out of that, we get Jensen doing some weird accent, possibly British, not really sure what was happening there, and acting in a way that was sort of like, it was almost like him trying to be the actor's portrayal of Michael, the other guy who portrayed Michael.
Yeah,
whatever his name is.
Not important.
Yeah. So it was like he tried to emote that, but you can't do that. Each person is different. Even if you're playing the same role, I think of like Eliza Dushku when she played Buffy, she used some of Sarah Michelle Gellar's mannerisms and some of her cues, but she was still Eliza Dushku and put her own spin on it, on being Buffy.
Yeah, or like Jerry Ryan when she was the doctor in Voyager.
Exactly. Jensen was not able to do that. He did not pull Michael off.
No. And again, I can't blame.
No, not at all. It's not your fault.
Michael wanted to take over the world, of course.
Yeah,
that's it.
Right.
That was all there was, and there was like this both like overly complicated and simple reasoning having to do with God and like wanting to catch up with him and destroy the world, I guess, because God has left them. Whatever. It was stupid. It didn't work. It was as ill-conceived as everything else this season.
Exactly.
So yeah, it didn't work. And I actually find that pretty depressing myself, because one of the things that if I were to go back and rewrite season 5, I would have put a little more characterization of Michael in, because we get tons of characterization of Michael in season 5.
Right.
But very little of Michael, where Michael really...
Lucifer.
Yeah, Lucifer. A lot of characterization of Lucifer, but very little of Michael.
Yeah.
To make Michael seem more like a character.
Right, more filled out.
And not just like a foil to Dean and a reflection of Dean, which is really all that he was for.
And let's be real. Show. I think all of us thought at some point that the Michael Dean would happen. I think we all thought that was going to happen at some point. So for it being a thing, sometimes very in the background, but sometimes closer to the surface for how many seasons, and
to just blow that.
Yeah. And then for it to happen and be like, okay.
That was a thing.
Yeah.
That was a thing that happened.
Yeah.
Another thing you said, like, there's no urgency.
No urgency.
Season.
Nothing matters. There's no hustle. I mean, of course, they were all like, oh no. Really the biggest hustle, I think, was the last 3 episodes. It was after Jack killed Mary. And then they're like, oh my God, we got to find Jack. Oh my God, what are we going to do? We got to bring back Mary. Because the first thing that happens after they find out Mary is dead is they say, okay, we got to bring her back. Because death in this show does not matter.
Yeah, which another thing, I think a thesis statement for now the show is that consequences mean nothing anymore. And I mean, it's been a thing, like, even all the way back in season 8, that, like, consequences of the characters are so muted to mean nothing, really. To mean nothing to Sam and Dean, or nothing to the greater world.
Right.
Like, they don't... They're not as catastrophic as they should be.
Exactly.
And that's been a thing for seasons upon seasons.
A long time.
But it's, again, like I said, the weight of it just gets worse and worse with each season, where it feels like weightless.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and when Sam and Dean and now Cass are in trouble, we know they're going to be fine. Like, there's no worry. There's no danger for Sam, Dean, or Cass.
Nothing is actually going to move the needle.
Yeah.
Like, there have been things that have happened before where, okay, Sam is drinking demon blood. This is actually going to matter. This is going to fundamentally shift the show over a little bit. Everything that's happened in season 14, you can no longer say that. Everything that's happened has not shifted the show. The only thing that happened that shifted the show is in the last episode, God had a tantrum and threw them all into the netherworld or some bullshit like that because it's the last season and we have to do something.
Yeah. And I guess to close, we should talk a bit about God because I think we're just rambling. So let's talk about God and then close it out.
Okay.
So the biggest thesis statement that Kripke had for the show and for the rest of his works, if you have watched Revolution or you watch Timeless, is that, free will versus fate. Like, it's a huge preoccupation of Kripke as a creative mind. Maybe his biggest preoccupation. So, bringing that back now to maybe, round out the show sort of makes sense.
Yes.
So I suppose, if I was making creative decisions, that's kind of the only place, really,
where it can go.
Yeah. So, I don't know, but making God evil, I'm not sure if that was the right choice. I much prefer God in season 11.
Yeah.
And his relationship with Amara and closing him out that way was way more satisfying than making Chuck evil.
Right. But I think a lot of that just represents the entire problem with the show. Is a lot of things were closed out or ended or shown in some way where it was like, okay, good.
This is finished.
This was good. We're putting a bow on this guy. And then all of a sudden something happens and they have to come back again. Or it has to come back again.
Which I guess is also the AU Hunters bringing back not Bobby. I call him not Bobby.
And not Charlie.
Yeah. Who I don't mind as much. She's closer to other Charlie. I like not Charlie better, but I don't like not Bobby. Right. I mean, Jim B, and I love Bobby. Bobby.
Oh, yeah.
Is my favorite character in the whole show.
Right.
Which is kind of why I hate not Bobby being there. Okay. So, to finish, and to bring it back to the end, our big ideas were that this season was talented people, wasting their time or not giving a shit.
Yep.
Consequences don't really mean anything. Nothing really matters anymore. Right. The problems of previous seasons have just gotten worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
There was a lot of telling versus showing. The dialogue is no longer as sharp as it used to be.
Yeah.
So
not good anymore.
I think that's it.
Okay. All right. Peace, everybody. Watch Buffy.
Yes. Watch Buffy. And also don't watch Supernatural, or maybe just stop at season 11.
Okay.
And
yeah,
be
because you should still watch it.
Yeah. Yeah, to a certain point, and then you don't need to watch it anymore.
As Ellen said, if only we could be to a place in our lives when we thought season 7 would have been the worst season.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I miss those days.
Yeah.
I miss the days when I thought season 7 was the worst season of Supernatural.
Yep.
I no longer think that.
Nope.
And that's really depressing.
All right. We are. Anyway.
Sayonara and Auf Wiedersehen.